Welcome to the ABCs of Preschool, the show that covers all things from parenting to childcare. And we're going to get real about how not just to survive, but thrive in the early years. I'm your host, Miss Amber. I'm a mom of 5 and early childhood expert with over 25 years in the industry. Whether you're a parent, an educator, or just curious about early childhood education, this podcast is for you. Each week, we're going to dive into what life looks like raising little ones, with special guests, industry experts, and personal stories that will leave you inspired and empowered. Get ready to explore, imagine, and discover the beautifully messy that comes with these magical years. Buckle up, because thriving during the early years is a wild and rewarding ride. Hello, friends. Welcome to the ABCs of Preschool podcast. I am your host, Miss Amber, and today we're going to be talking about navigating the holiday season with your toddlers, with your preschoolers, with your little kiddos. It's kind of funny. I think I've done 3 interviews already. This is a topic that I've been talking about. I've been asked a lot to talk about traveling with little ones, so I'll incorporate that. But the holidays are really here, right? We've just had Thanksgiving, Halloween. Once Halloween hits, then Thanksgiving was beautiful. And now, today, as I record this, it is the first day of December. This won't go live for a couple weeks, but Christmas is here. The holidays are here, and I love this time of year. I love it, love it, love it. But we also know that this time of year can also be really stressful on many levels, right? Especially when you have preschoolers, you have infants, you have toddlers, you have little kids, and it could also be just like sensory overload for them. And I think the first thing I want to start with is we have to kind of step back from things. So just as holidays can get overwhelming for us, like we're working, we have Christmas gifts. I finally just bought like one simple Christmas gift today for one of my kids, but I don't even know what I'm getting my kids. That's a whole other podcast topic because I'm kind of over present and stuff. I'd rather, like we just did this family trip, I'd rather just do a family trip every year, but that's just me. But, it's just like the baking and scheduling time with family and prepping dinners and getting the house decorated for Christmas. And when you have little kids, you want it to be super magical. My husband asked me today, like, what was some of my favorite memories when my kids were little. And I'll tell this story because I remembered it today. I don't know if it's funny, but I think it's funny and we laugh now about it. So I always really tried to make Christmas and the holidays really special. That was one thing my mom was really good at. She was really good at like these traditions. And so when my kids were little, I really wanted to be mindful of the holidays. So we had special traditions. So Christmas Eve, we'd spend it with family, we'd go home, and all of my kids would sleep in one room when they were little. They would all sleep together. I would hang little bells on the door and I would just tell them, you can't come out. I'm going to hear the bells. And so they would fall asleep together. They would have that excitement together of waiting for the next morning. And then, of course, it would be 4 a.m., 4:30 a.m., 5:30. I would hear like pounding on the floor and banging on the door, like, it's Christmas, wake up, wake up. They try to wake us up. And they would just be so excited. Like Christmas is so special for kids, especially, right? Like if we could bottle that Christmas magic up and carry it around our neck or around for the rest of our lives, like how beautiful would the world seem to be all the time? So, especially from the eyes of kids. So, all my kids would sleep together. They'd wake up pounding on walls to make sure we're woken up, but they were not allowed to come out of the bedroom until I was completely ready. So, like the fire was in the fireplace, there'd be candles going on. I'd have the Christmas music, I'd have the video camera ready. Like all the gifts would be perfectly in a position. But that's how my mom raised us. And it was really cool. Like my brother and I didn't sleep in the same room, but it was just my brother and I, and we had rooms next to each other. So we would bang on each other's walls and it was the same sort of magic. So that's what I did with my kids for years. And one Christmas, one of my kids, my second born, decided he didn't believe in Santa anymore. I think he was around 9 or 10. And So he has two younger siblings as well. And he was going around telling everybody that did not believe in Santa. And so this Christmas, I was like, well, if he doesn't believe in Santa, I'm going to have to teach him a little lesson. And I don't know if this is really mean or not because, anyways, so they all come down the stairs. I let them out of their bedroom, the bedroom they all sleep in. They all walk down the stairs and they're so excited. And this particular child of mine didn't have any presents underneath the tree. And his poor little lip and his eyes got a little watery and I was like, "Wyatt." Oh, I said his name. I was trying to keep him anonymous, but I was like, "Wyatt, you said you didn't believe in Santa. Do you believe in Santa?" And he's like, "Yeah, I think so." And I said, "We'll go around the corner." So just around the corner, we had all of his presents, but just for that split second, he got so sad, and I still feel a little bad, but then not. And we laugh at it now, and I talked to him about it today. I'm like, "Remember that Christmas?" But Christmas is just so special and magical, and as parents, we want everything to be perfect, but it's not gonna be perfect, right? So, we have to kinda step back as chaotic as it is for us. It's magical and one and it's special, and we're getting everything so ready and it's stressful. We have to step back and actually think about the perspective from our toddlers and preschoolers as well, because the holidays can be really hard on our little ones. There's new environments, they're going to new people's houses, they're meeting new people, they're off their schedule. It can be like all the lights and the smells, as fun and magical as it is. Sometimes when our kids are that little, it's also like a sensory overload. It can be really overwhelming for them. So we have to kind of step back and remember that, especially if you're a parent of multiples, every child reacts differently to things, right? Like you go to Santa, right? You want to sit on Santa's lap. I mean, I know as I was a kid, I never wanted to sit on Santa's lap. There was a place called Chuck E. Cheese. I grew up in California and a place called Chuck E. Cheese. I don't know if anybody's familiar with it. It's a pizza place, and their theme, the person that dressed up, their mascot was a mouse. And if that mouse came out while I was at Chuck E. Cheese, I would literally be hiding under the table. And like every theme park, anybody in a costume, I absolutely feared. I did not like it. And my mom would just laugh. And we have to remember that our kids are their own little human being, right? And so some of our kids may scream bloody terror when they're sitting on Santa's lap. And some of our kids are going to just want to hug them and love them. And that's who they are. And so we always have to step back and think of our kids' perspective and our little ones' perspectives. And we have to manage our expectations as parents, right? And I know for me, I just always wanted to be that perfect mom. And I wanted the house to be perfect. And I wanted the tree to look this way. And I wanted the right kind of candles. And I mean, to be honest, I'm still a little bit like that. Not as much anymore, but I still like my house is decorated. My tree is really pretty. I have like all my candles throughout the year. Like every month has a different scent. And so like this month is like evergreen and like Christmas trees. Like that's my favorite scent for December. So I guess I'm still a little bit like that. But we do have to manage our expectations, right? Like it's memories over perfection. Our goal really through the holidays is making really fun memories for our kids. And we don't want them to remember us being so stressed and frazzled all the time. We want them to have like a lot of fun. So we have to manage our own expectations, right? And so I think really it's memories over perfection because they're not going to remember the candles, right? They're going to remember making cookies with you and they're going to remember decorating gingerbread houses, things like that. So let's talk about traveling too. So holidays are crazy. I'm busy, right? Like sometimes you're getting on airplanes, you're going and visiting family, and you've got little ones, right? So, like, how to navigate this holiday season with our toddlers. I think the biggest thing is trying to keep them at best on their routine, on their schedule, because we all know when kids don't get enough sleep. I'm sorry. I'll even say when I don't get enough sleep, I'm grumpy as you know what. And our kids, that's like tenfold, right? So, as best as you can, try to keep your kids on their same routine. And I remember when my kids were little, like my family would make fun of me, but like 7 o'clock came and rolled around, I'd pack up my kids. And I know like some people are like, no, I'm not going to do that. I packed them up when they were younger, and I was like, it's bedtime. And because I knew they were going to start melting down, I knew that they were going to start screaming, and like our fun was going to be thrown right out the window because it was just going to be meltdown city. So when 7 o'clock rolled around, when my kids were pretty young, we bounced. We bounced so many family events. We bounced at parties because I just felt like it was so important because it trickles over to the next day, right? If they don't get enough sleep. And we all know too, my kids, I know especially, were like, even though they stayed up at night, they were still up at 6 a.m. So keeping our kids on a schedule somewhat is really beneficial. When you're traveling with kids, right? If you have to go board an airplane with your toddler, your infant, preschooler, I know how stressful that is. Like your heart, you're like on edge the whole time. But remember to pack. I always like to say, so have your little backpack, a lot of their favorite snacks, right? And part of that too is on the airplane ride, we don't really think about it, but like some of us, our ears are bothered by airplanes and little ones. A lot of times we'll hear babies crying on airplanes because their ears hurt so bad. So bringing their bottle, a pacifier, if they're toddlers, bringing their favorite snacks, food equals happy kids, right? And then also maybe bringing, well, one of their, if they have a blankie or like a stuffed animal that they love, but also bringing a few new things because we know our kids get bored really easy. So if you go to the store and buy a few new things that are in your backpack that are like surprises, it's like new entertainment, right, for them. So bringing a few new things as you travel, but maybe trying to get on a flight where they're going to be tired and they're hopefully going to sleep for some of that time. But snacks, bottle, remember their ears are going to hurt. And entertainment, obviously, bring their entertainment with them, maybe headphones and music, things like that. I think too, also staying calm. Like traveling can be stressful. I love traveling, but not everybody loves traveling, right? So, and especially if you're going through different time zones, the frazzled you are, that's going to fall onto your kids as well. They're going to get stressed. So, even if you're stressing out on the inside and you're frustrated and you're tired and you're grumpy, because we all know when you're traveling with kids, it is stressful, very stressful. If you can keep that to yourself or share it quietly with your partner, but on the outside, you look like you're just on a fun adventure, it really will help your kids. And just remember, like something's going to be really overwhelming for our kids, and it can be really sensory overload. And sometimes in family gatherings and the holidays, kids start to melt down. They've had a lot of candy, they've had a lot of sweets, their regular foods out the window, they're meeting new people. It can just be really overwhelming. So when you're at families' houses, if they are having a meltdown, go lay on a bed with them. Maybe excuse yourself and go to a quiet place so they can reset rather than get angry with them, get frustrated. I just think working through the holidays, navigating through the holidays equals a lot of grace, love, patience, and kindness because our kids at that age just don't have the vocabulary to say, I'm overloaded right now. I'm on a sensory overload. I don't know that person. I don't really want to hug that person. The Christmas lights are overwhelming. They cannot tell us those things, but they can act out those things. They can cry. They can have meltdowns. So rather than getting frustrated, take them away, put them in a quiet room, lay down on a bed with them, bring some quiet books to read. And every child just handles holidays different, just like we all handle holidays different. Some people just run around like Betty Crocker and just love it. They thrive on it. And other people hate it. They don't like it. They don't like all the extra work. It stresses them out. So just how we feel, we have to really step back and look at from our toddler and our preschoolers perspective and just really having patience with ourselves. It doesn't have to be perfect. Even like buying the right gifts, they're little, they're not going to remember when they're 1, 2, and 3 and barely 4, they're really not going to remember. You don't even have to spend a lot of money on gifts, wrap up a few things. Like it's really, I want to emphasize the memories, the traditions over perfectionism. Hope that helped you guys as you navigate this holiday season with your toddlers and your preschoolers. Just remember it's about fun and memories and making cookies or doing little gingerbread houses, visiting grandma and grandpa, reading fun Christmas books, listening to Christmas music. It's just soak up to the magic of the season through your little one's eyes, because there's nothing like it. Like, those were the best Christmas memories for me. When your kids get older, it's still special, but it's just so different now. My kids are adults and it's just so different. We sit around the couch, we open up presents. It's not like it just, as as we get older, the magic kind of goes away because we see it differently. So I think it's step back too and realize, like, these years 0 to 5 are the most special Christmas memories you're ever going to have. Like, they really, truly are. And the excitement and the joy on our kids' faces, I wish we could bottle that up and sell it because it is really, really special. And that is what's important. The memories of their faces on Christmas Day, or if they do cry on Santa's lap, get the picture of them crying on Santa's lap so you can look back at it. It doesn't have to be perfect. Those are the memories you're going to carry forever. So welcome to the holiday season. Enjoy your week. I'll be back next week on the ABCs of Preschool podcast. I'm your host, Miss Amber. You can find me at thelovingstartway.com or at The Loving Start Way on all the socials.
Thanks for listening. I appreciate you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to hear this podcast. Make sure to hit the subscribe button so you won't miss the next episode. For more information on how to work with me, Miss Amber, visit me at thelovingstartway.com or follow me on Insta at thelovingstartway.